Japan's incoming Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba has called an early general election which will take place at the end of October. Mr. Ishiba said it was important that people had the chance to judge his new administration as soon as possible.
Japan is marking the 60th anniversary of its famous Shinkansen bullet trains. The network is known for being fast, comfortable and punctual. The network has never seen a fatal accident, despite Japan's frequent natural disasters. The Japanese video game giant Nintendo has opened its first ever museum, located in Kyoto. Tickets are already sold out for the rest of the year.
And scientists have identified the position, shape and connections of every cell in the brain of a fruit fly. Fruit flies have 130,000 brain cells, a millionth of the number in a human brain. It's the first such detailed analysis of an adult animal brain ever produced.
Donald Trump has addressed a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where he survived an assassination attempt in July. The billionaire Elon Musk spoke in support of the Republican presidential candidate, saying Mr. Trump must win to preserve democracy in America.
The US basketball star LeBron James made sporting history on Sunday night when he was joined on court by his son, Bronny. It's the first time a father and son have played together on the same NBA team. LeBron described the moment as surreal.
China has announced new restrictions on brandy imports from Europe. The measure comes just after EU countries approved steep new tariffs on electric vehicles made in China. An 18-year-old mountaineer from Nepal has become the youngest person to climb every peak taller than 8,000 metres. Nimarinja Sherpa started the challenge when he was 16. The Spanish tennis superstar Rafael Nadal has announced his retirement from the sport at the end of this season. The 22-time Grand Slam champion said he was stepping back from professional tennis after some difficult years.
After a month-long strike, the American aircraft maker Boeing has announced the loss of 17,000 jobs, about 10% of its workforce. Workers at the main factory in Seattle have rejected a tentative deal.
South Korea says the North may have begun preparations for cutting cross-border road connections. Last week, Pyongyang said it would destroy transport links with the South, once seen as symbols of cooperation.
North Korea has blown up several roads near its border with South Korea in a symbolic gesture following its decision to sever physical ties with its neighbour. The South Korean military filmed a number of explosions along the border.
Hong Kong's government has announced it will phase out the territory's smallest apartments, setting the minimum size at 8 square metres. There are more than 100,000 tiny homes where the city's poorest residents are housed.
North Korea appears to have stopped using its own unique calendar that considers Year 1 to be 1912, the birth year of its country's founder, Kim Il-sung. They're now using the Gregorian system as elsewhere in the world, although there's been no official announcement.
In other news, South Korea's spy agency has revealed satellite pictures which it says confirm that North Korean soldiers have been sent to support Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Seoul said 1,500 special forces had already arrived in Russia's Far East for training.
South Korea's president has spoken with the head of NATO about his country's findings that North Korea is dispatching troops to Russia. Yoon Suk-yeol said Seoul would take steps in response to the increased military cooperation.
South Korea says it will take countermeasures following allegations that North Korea is sending troops to fight for Russia in Ukraine. That could include providing Kiev with offensive weapons, something Seoul so far says it's not done.
NASA has announced it's in talks to let American scientists analyse rocks retrieved from the far side of the moon by China. The samples were collected by a Chinese mission in June.
A North Korean balloon has landed in Seoul's presidential compound. South Korean media reported that it contained propaganda leaflets ridiculing President Yoon Suk-yeol and his wife. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have held rallies in swing states as their campaigns try to gain the momentum ahead of next month's presidential election. Thousands of Democrat supporters turned out for a star-studded campaign rally for Kamala Harris in Georgia. In Arizona, Mr. Trump promised to deport millions of illegal immigrants.
Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba says he'll stay in power to prevent a political vacuum, despite the governing coalition losing its majority in elections on Sunday.
South Korea's spy agency says it believes North Korean generals and troops could be moving towards the front in Russia's war against Ukraine. In a briefing to lawmakers, intelligence officers said almost 11,000 soldiers from the north would be deployed to Russia by December.
The Chinese electric car maker BYD has overtaken its US rival Tesla with an operating revenue of more than $28 billion in the third quarter of the current financial year.
시청해 주셔서 감사합니다. 다음 시간에 뵙겠습니다.